to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, my favorite topics, you guys have been with me for a long time, is food, of course, and I make them bring it. But on top of that, real estate. I love real estate, and within the real estate wheelhouse is mortgages, and like real estate, that's something that goes up and down and up and down. And I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. Always, always use a professional. If you don't, it's probably going to cost you 5 times more in money and 10 times more in frustration. I'm blessed to have Amy Haas from, is it Above All Mortgage?
Above All Mortgage.
Okay. So my first question is, why, I know that you came from West Virginia, and we can hear it in your accent. And when I met you, we discussed that my daughter went to school in WVU, because it was a party school. Okay.
Right. Go Mountaineers. I have to shout that out.
Why'd you get into mortgages?
I did real estate previously for over 20-some years, and I was already in commercial lending. I went to school for finance in Albany, New York. We had moved here in 2020, and I just needed something to do besides, just the commercial world. And I thought, well, I'm going to expand. I know real estate really well, so I went into the residential side of lending.
Okay, so do you see a difference in the residential side and the commercial side?
I do. Well, I work with investors throughout the United States.
Right.
And commercial's a lot easier to me. A lot of people say, oh, commercial is so hard, but no, it's so easy for me. And the residential side, it could be tricky, but I've learned how to be really creative with all my types of lending.
The reason, when I got into real estate, I did 6 months of residential real estate, and I wanted to quit. I wanted to stick a pencil in my eye. I hated it. And I met a guy who worked for his dad, who had a commercial-only agency, and I got into that, and I did really, really well. And I was lucky. I mean, I did stuff for Billy Joel, for Bruce Springsteen. So I always was around the celebrities, even though I wasn't in this industry. And what I liked about commercial, residential is a weekend job. You have to work weekends. I don't like working weekends. Commercial is Monday to Fridays. And if you work a weekend, it's on someone's yacht, in someone's mansion, because the money is in commercial real estate, in my opinion. I was very lucky. Everybody that I connected with to do commercial had good credit and had the ability to get mortgages and loans. So I think that the commercial end is a little bit easier and a little safer in the fact that it probably, I don't know if it just takes as long.
Sometimes commercial can take a little bit longer. It depends on what they need and how we're structuring the deal. And sometimes about 30 days I can still close a commercial deal. So it does take longer because residential I can close good credit client in less than 10 days.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember it was like 120 days when I started in real estate. It was brutal. And the interest rates, like people are complaining about interest rates now, but back then they were 18.5%.
Yeah. What did your first mortgage start at? Right?
I was smarter. I got an assumable.
Okay.
I took an assumable. I found an assumable mortgage, and I took over that mortgage. So I was pretty lucky. So you're not doing the real estate, but you're connected with realtors.
Yes, I've connected with some good realtors, a few good ones.
Okay, and you're working throughout the whole state?
Yeah, I can work the whole state of Florida. I'm licensed in West Virginia and Colorado also.
Why Colorado?
My daughter lives in Colorado.
So you figured you get your license out there?
Yeah, she does real estate, a little bit of real estate part-time in Colorado. So I'm there to back her up when she needs some assistance.
Okay, so the question I ask a lot of people is, first of all, I asked you why you got into it, but when you decided to get into mortgages, did you have support from your family?
Yeah, my family is very supportive. They are always there to help me and support me in whatever I decide to do.
Because I think that's the difference from someone being successful and not being successful. Now, I didn't have as much help as I could have or should have, but it was a little different for me because I was always an entrepreneur. So going to something else, and I took a major pay cut. Okay, I went from, going back 30-something years. I have this company, from making $70,000 a year back then to making peanuts starting this company because it didn't exist. This industry didn't exist. So it was like really kind of difficult. And what I found was prior to that, when I was in Jersey, I was in real estate and I made tons of money. So I thought about getting back into real estate, and I didn't. I kind of focused on this, and then I had a heart attack, and I went from the real estate test. Didn't realize being older made it that much more difficult. Was the so you've done the real estate test in states,
Yes.
and you've done the mortgage test.
Yeah.
Is it mortgage one harder?
Yes, I thought it was harder, but it's been a long time since I've taken that real estate test. I took that back in the 90s.
Okay, and I get that because I took mine in the 80s, and now it's 100 years later, and I take the real estate test, and I'm older, so my memory's not as good, and it's very different in Florida than it was in Jersey. So it was, and I told you, I got like 10 years 75, I got a 74 3 times in a row. So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
The only saving grace is I had a business and I was doing okay. How do you see, like, mortgage? I mean, I wouldn't want to talk about the rate per se, but do you see the rates coming down?
Well, I've been to several conferences already this year with a lot of economists, and they said after the first quarter, by the end of the first quarter, that the rates are likely to go down some, but we'll never see rates. It would be hard to see rates like we've saw before.
Well, there's two parts to that puzzle: the rates going down, and house prices and the inventory there.
Right?
And if the inventory's not there, the home prices are going to be high. So you really can't win one way or the other unless everything comes down, and that would mean a crash, I think.
Yeah.
You know, now I know that you home out of Vero,
Yes.
but you really work anywhere, right? I mean, your deals are anywhere.
Yeah. Well, commercial deals anywhere. Like I said, residential, I work all over Florida.
Do you find that, okay, people who are looking to buy a home, I guess they should come to a mortgage person before they even go out?
I'd like to get them pre-approved, and while they're shopping for a home, what I do is I shop for the best rate and the best program that will suit them, because I have the only down payment grant that's available. That's 3.5% that they get as a grant, and you don't have to repay a grant.
Right.
So that gives them their down payment, and it's not a second mortgage. It's not a lien on their home. They don't have to be a first-time home buyer. It is an FHA product, so they do have to, meet the FHA qualifications.
What's the minimum credit score that someone needs to get a mortgage?
For that loan is only 620, but I can work with them down to 500 credit scores if they have 10% down, but 580 is now the FHA guidelines.
Okay, so if they have a 620 credit score or a 650 credit score, they can go for that plan.
Yes, they can go for that plan. And what they don't know is I'm a credit specialist, and I can bring up their credit around 30 points, more than 30. I just told you a fib. Between 60 to 90 points in 30 days.
Okay.
And I don't even charge my clients for that. I have a little booklet that I fixed out for them on pointers and tips on how they can improve it. And the last one I brought up 60 points in 30 days.
So, and I've been on the air in front of people forever. So my credit, the thing that hits my credit the worst goes back to 2010, and it's a medical thing. It's the only thing on my credit that's a negative. And do you guys, when they do the credit, do they look at medical?
A lot of my lenders don't look at your medical.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because most people don't understand that Experian, which used to be, I believe, TRW, Equifax, and TransUnion, they are private companies. Most people think that they're part of the government. They're not part of the government. So if Mary owns a store and pays to be able to use Experian, all those, she can put in whatever she wants. It's your job to fix it, not yours per se, but
yes, the client or the person or any individual, and that's why in my little booklet that I have for them, I tell them the importance of getting your annual credit report that's free and keeping up with that to make sure all your information's accurate.
You know, and I don't know that people understand that you'll get every time you get a credit card or run for a credit card, you're gonna take a hit on your credit score. And when you get a credit card that goes through, there's not one day that goes by that I don't get things for credit cards.
Oh, there's an opt out.
Okay.
You can opt out. So
Really?
you can go online and opt out for all that. Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. And you know, I have some cards that are 8%, 9%. I get stuff in the mail that's 35%. I got one the other day. It was 39%. Is that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? It
Yeah.
used to be usury. Now they just get away with. People get away with anything anymore.
Yeah, people didn't realize when inflation went up, it wasn't just on the housing, it was on everything that had an interest rate to it. Like your credit cards, if you don't pay close attention, they've got new statements that come out and your rates had went up. And they send you little things in the mail. Well, your rate went from like 18% to 29% or 31%. And, you know, that's where my HELOC loans are coming in really well now, that they're getting the HELOCs at like between 8 to 10% interest and paying off those 29-30% interest credit cards.
So I come to you. I'm going to buy a house. My recommendation is always go to the mortgage person first, because you'll go to a realtor. They're going to ask you anyway if you're pre-approved, I would think. But if you go and start looking at houses, and then you realize you can't afford the houses you looked at, you're going to be more disappointed.
Yes.
And you won't be able to find a home because you are just thinking of the ones that you like and not what you can afford. When someone comes and I guess you run their credit, right?
Yeah, we'll do a pre-approval application.
Okay, so what's in that pre-approval application?
Basically, you just put all your employment in, like you said, your credit, your employment, you know how we're going to do the loan. I will send it through to the lender and run it through AUS, which is our system to tell you, you know, Fannie Mae, Freddie, to see what you're approved for.
Okay. This new down payment grant, so someone has a 650 score, let's say, but they're self-employed.
But they're self-employed. Well, they still can get it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any restrictions on that grant that make it difficult?
Not really, as long as it follows within the FHA guidelines.
Okay.
As long as we follow those guidelines, I can get it.
So, really, if you're looking to buy a home, you should, again, hit the mortgage person first, get an idea of what you can afford and what you'll get approved for, so that you don't go looking for $650,000 homes when your credit's only going to get you $350,000 home.
Yeah.
Because after looking at a $650,000 home, and then you feel you can only get $350,000, you're not going to find anything you like.
It'd be hard, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Even with a little fixer-up loan, I can add in there the home possible.
Okay, so you're doing commercial, some commercial,
Yeah.
residential. And when I say this, who's your referral source? I guess realtors, right? Mainly?
Realtors, I network, I advertise a lot.
I mean, I met you at a networking event.
Yeah.
One that I usually don't go to. And I had some time and I went, and I was happy enough to go, and then I got to sit next to you and we were talking. For me, I'm always interested in why people they don't think before they act. In other words, hey, I want to buy a house. And again, they go out and look. And they see a house for sale by the owner, which is ridiculous, okay? And it's already been proven that if you don't use a realtor, you're not going to make as much money as if you use a realtor. But I'm thinking, now that I know more, that you'd be foolish to even begin to look until you figure out what you can afford. And there are a lot of factors in there, right? Like when you're looking for a loan, how much bills you have, and I can't think of what it's called.
Your debt to income ratio.
Yeah, your debt to income ratio.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Okay, and that's a major factor.
Yeah, it's part of the pre-approval process.
Okay. we already decided that you could probably get away if you have some credit issues that are medical.
Yes.
Okay. What's the hardest hit? Like, I know that bankruptcy is brutal.
I can get them out 1 year out of bankruptcy. I can get you.
Really?
Yeah.
What about, like everybody says different things. So they say that they look at credit cards really deep.
Foreclosures are pretty hard. You know,
Right.
they're going to go really hard on the foreclosures, but I can still work around that. I can run things through 75 plus lenders. Of being a broker, I have an advantage.
Okay. So, because we're going to run out of time, but before I let you go, what's the difference between a mortgage broker, a mortgage banker, and whatever else is
And the
involved?
retail, and you work in
Yeah.
the mortgage retail. Well, at the bank, you only have the products that the bank has to offer.
Okay.
You know, and there's little flexibility. You know, this is what we offer, this rate, this is the product, these are the terms, that's it. As a retail loan officer or having a branch, you offer like almost like a bank. We have these products, nothing more. As a broker, I have the ability to shop with some of the best top wholesale lenders in the United States. I'm licensed and approved with. I'm able to shop their rates, their programs, along with any other.
So, basically, it's almost like you're the middleman in this big pool that you can fish in.
Yes.
That's interesting. All right. Yeah. How do people contact you? You have a website?
Yes, my website's www.aboveallmortgage.net, and
Okay. And a phone number.
a phone number is 772-800-5455.
Okay. So, my last question before I let you go is, you don't have a Monday to Friday job, right?
I try to, but it doesn't always happen that way because I'll take calls, you know, after hours or on the weekend. Somebody needs a pre-approval really quick or something. I'm happy to help them, you know. It's
And-
important to own a home.
And plus, people that you're working with, they're going to need. I mean, it's not that they come in and get pre-approved, they find a house and it's over with you. You kind of got to walk them through the whole process to the end.
Oh, yeah, and I almost forgot to mention Hometown Heroes has some money, and if you're looking to buy a loan and you live in Florida and you're employed by a Florida employer, get a hold of me. There's some money out there for your down payment and your closing cost.
Well, it's not just about first responders and stuff.
They changed that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why people. That's why we bring people on to help you through, to learn things that you don't know. Like I don't know much when it comes to mortgaging, but I have such a network like Amy that gives me the advantage to help others know what direction to go in. Check her out. What's the phone number one more time?
772-800-5455.
Everybody will be right back.